Welcome back, besties. Today we're going to cover another ZZZ character, Miss Burnice White. I don't know why, but her name makes me think of the phrase or slogan, burn white, burn bright. I don't know where that's from, but that popped in my head. She is an S-rank fire anomaly agent, and one really cool detail I want to mention is I love how her tubes from her tanks to her flamethrowers snake through her sleeves. When you're animating and the character has a lot of movement, it's really hard to keep the tubes to look normal and not contorted and deformed. Not to mention they're going to clip everywhere. So the fact that Burnice is such a fast and agile and fiery spinny tornado of a character, trust me, it saved them a lot of headache. Without further ado, let's get started on the rubric. So first one is point of interest. What initially attracts me to the character? It's a focal area that is emphasized with usually more details or contrast than its surroundings. It can oftentimes contribute to the character's identity and even silhouette. So if you take a look at her key art, and then you imagine her body as 3D shapes like cubes, cylinders, and then you draw the point at which all the lines converge is going to be the dotted green line, and that is your eye level line. That's saying that you are here looking up at her. That makes sense because if you look at the nearest shape, the cylinder, you're viewing the entire bottom part of it, right? Like you're not seeing the top whatsoever. Same thing with her chest. This is all the bottom of her bosom and you are not seeing the top whatsoever. Clearly, we're looking up at her waist and hips. What draws our eyes to this area is both the camera angle and the pose. Her torso is leaning back away from the camera. This not only shrinks her torso, but it shortens it. That with the low camera angle makes her legs feel like it's 70% of the screen. Now compare this with an eye level angle and it's quite different. Suddenly, it feels closer to 50-50, and Caesar's key art is around eye level. So what does her point of interest say about her? The skirt is pleated like a schoolgirl skirt. She looks fun, playful, flirty, feminine. My eyes are being pulled to this area, and sadly, it's not really informing me much about the character, except that she's got a pair of juicy thighs. Because of that, I am going to give her a 4 out of 5 for point of interest. For theme, I always ask, is it clear and understandable? Her primary theme is being a fire-loving, fire-themed biker gangster. Her secondary theme is being a mixologist. It's not as apparent as her primary themes, and that's okay. For example, her flamethrowers are called Mixer and Shaker. You wouldn't know that though, just by looking at her. So is her primary theme clear and understandable? I do think so. She's got the leather, the metal hardware, the cropped jacket with the metal studs and spikes, Sons of Caledon insignia on her chest. For the fire theme, yes, she's got the fire pattern on the inside of her jacket lining. You can see it on her sleeves. Her brass knuckles on her pigtails actually just spell out fire. So yes, I think her design is giving me biker gang and fire enough anyways. However, when we only consider the focus area, which is her waist and hips, it's really lacking when it comes to informing us about her character. It's like the game wants me to stare up her skirt, and if this is where I am to appreciate her first and foremost, then it becomes painfully clear the game is pushing her sex appeal ahead of her other elements. I would have liked this area to include Sons of Caledon. In biker gang subculture, you gotta wear your club, or house in this case, loudly and proudly. Your clothing is your identity. That's why people wear a million badges on their chest in the front. That's the first thing they want you to see on them. But with Burnice, the first thing I see is her skirt and thighs and how hot she is. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being sexy, but maybe her belt buckle could have something more interesting on it. Could refer to her Sons of Caledon, perhaps. So for theme, I'm going to give her 4.5 out of 5. I am taking half off because she's just not giving biker as loudly as I'd like. The loudest thing for me is that she's a hot girly girl in a leather skirt. This is definitely a trope. The hot girl with pigtails in a short skirt and heels. I don't know what it's called, but she kind of fits that archetype down to the T. This character, out of anyone else in Sons of Caledon, seems to be the most pandering. And again, there's nothing wrong with sex appeal. It sells. She's clearly attractive. I just wish there was more substance. This is probably the most important part of the video. Concept. How well does the character's personality traits, behaviors, and physical attributes mesh together and support one another? What is her personality like? Well, from her movement, you can tell that she's loose and carefree. She's giving off that she's confident and happy. She also gives off little sister energy with the pigtails. She's spinny, bouncy, enthusiastic, expressive, social, and peppy. Her Gap Moe is being fiery and dangerous, but also bubbly and sociable. She's chaotic, but also controlled. She's got moments where she's a little crazy and unhinged because honestly, who chases a lizard with dual flamethrowers? You naturally want to assume that she's got a few screws loose, that she's unhinged because she is a fire character in a biker gang that's kind of like out in the wild, wild west. She seems like a genuine pyromaniac, but her personality is one of controlled chaos, and it comes out in glimpses during certain story elements. There are times too where she can actually be quite composed, well-spoken, and quite normal.
Wields their power to... What was it again?
Hey, didn't Lucy tell you to memorize all those lines like 1,000 times before coming here? Anyways, the Overlord wields the power...
The best example of her Moe Gap that I can think of is when she's mixing her drinks. If she was fully chaotic, she would be exploding kitchens just to see it all burn. But she's intentionally and artistically creating unique flavor combinations to quote unquote even make the strangest things shine. When I look at this character, I do have this itch in my head that's like not being scratched. I want her personality and the things she says to be a bit more extreme and weird. Can't she be the one in the gang that's gone full mental? It's like when you first meet the gang and they're like, oh, her? She's what happens when you OD on nitro fuel and spend too much time in the outer ring. But we're not going to take any points off here because we understand at this point that this is how miHoYo creates the characters, with plenty of Gap Moe, and you know what? I can respect that. She's got a mix of soft feminine elements and hard aggressive elements. Her soft details are her pigtails, schoolgirl skirt, stockings. You know, her eyes have this open and sweet expression. The hard details are like the leather, spikes, studs, brass knuckles, sharp angular sunglasses, essentially anything that's related to her gang. It's not quite 50-50 for me though. I think upon first glance, she's 70% girly girl and then 30% badass gangster. Honestly, I wish they made the biker theme stronger. Like, come on, really sell to me that she's second in command of the Sons of Caledon. Biker gangs love to wear things that represent them. They'll have patches, jewelry, tattoos that talk about their organization, chapter, rank, number, motto, where they're from. Badges and anything they wear indicate hierarchy, rank, and command respect. It's a really big deal. I can't stress that enough. Plus, she runs an underground drink operation. That is a position of power, so it would be really cool if that was on her design somewhere. Maybe it is. If it is, let me know. By the way, I won't take anything off here. I don't want to double jeopardy her since we already took half off when we were discussing her theme and the lackluster biker concept. Also, if you want to look at her lower half, and don't take into account her weapons, but it's giving me like generic step on me dominatrix. Like, it's not even really giving me biker gang. For the sake of keeping it PG, I'm not going to give any examples, but y'all use your imagination. This leads me to something that I will dinker on, which is the fact that her bottom half is less informative and interesting. She's got like double straps to hold her thigh-high boots or stockings up. What if she had more straps going down her like thigh-high boots or stockings? Because biker boots in motocross have like a million straps. Honestly, the more I study her, the more I notice her like motorsport or motocross theme. Even the flame designs on her jacket are very graphical, and they're giving me like car decals. Her bike's also the one in the gang that looks most like a sports bike, in my opinion. Every boy's probably owned a Hot Wheels with flames on it. I would have loved to see them push this concept because she's a racer and she loves fire and she loves to go fast. To really push this motocross concept, what if she had a helmet? It would be a little tricky because we obviously all want to see her face, but I'm sure miHoYo can pull off something cool. Maybe it's only shown in her cutscenes. Okay, my next change is a little unnecessary and more of a personal opinion, but I wanted to share with you regardless because this is something I immediately pictured her doing after watching the Tour de Inferno teaser. I would have liked to see her in Heelys that propel her forward by shooting fire and sparks, rather than these dainty heels. I mean, Caesar called her a star, so I think that her entrance should be over the top.
Our biggest baddie is the young leader of the Sons of Caledon, Caesar.
Hey, if we're talking fame, you're clearly the real star here.
Nah.
I also just did a Shalonen analysis, so I don't know if her being on skates is like influencing me right now. So Heelys, which I've never owned a pair, but you know, they're kind of like a kid's thing. And she's got this little sister energy with like the pigtails and the bubbly personality. So I think that it would help support that like cute image she's got. Remember this boss fight? The ballet twins leave this blazing trail and they actually spin a lot in their combat, not unlike Burnice. The crazy thing too is I thought about the Heelys idea before seeing her OG concept art. It's like Mihoyo wanted to tie fire to his shoes, and that's where my brain went also. Y'all, this is Editing Kira, and at the time of recording this, the Burnice character demo came out at like 10 p.m. last night. There's a part where she literally slides on her heels like Heelys. What the frick? I'm losing it. For concept, I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5. I took half off for a less informative, more plain lower half, and I also took another half off for not pushing the biker gang or motocross aesthetic far enough. For example, Caesar's got more biker gang elements than Burnice, plus on top of that, she's got her cool Roman warrior influence. It would have given her more oomph and depth, which unfortunately I think she lacks because her aesthetic is more about her being girly and attractive. Last but not least, power fantasy. Do I feel cool playing the character? Do I want to imagine myself being the character? Her power fantasy is to be this badass, flamethrower wielding biker gangster that fights like a crazy bat out of hell. She literally reminds me of a fire tornado. You know those things exist? They look scary. You know, with the tornado, it twirls and she twirls so much. And honestly, it kind of supports her like youthful childlikeness because she's got pigtails and like I can just picture a girl in a field of flowers like spinning like wee, not a care in the world. Like that's what she's giving me. I know a lot of other members in the Sons of Caledon have moves that spin, but I'm just saying in this instance, her doing that supports her personality. I really love how her personality is integrated with her fighting style. She's second in command and she's shown herself to be a great and supportive friend to Caesar time and time again.
Doesn't matter who I'm up against. I'm taking that title.
In that case, can you tell us more about the ceremony?
In her alt, when she's frozen in the air, you can bring in another character as an assist. So even though it's her alt, she's willing to share the spotlight and support another team member. Easy 5 out of 5. Any doubts you had about the character honestly goes out the window once you play them. So point of interest was a 4, theme 4.5, concept 4, power fantasy 5. She gets a 17.5, and on a 20-point conversion scale, that puts her at an A+. Not quite an S, although I did give Caesar an S. Her design strengths include a flashy mix of biker gang, fire, and motocross elements. Her design weaknesses include a weaker, less informed lower half, and a not fully realized biker gang or motocross style. These really interesting themes on her seem muted when compared to her being an attractive girly girl in a short skirt and heels. So, who's pulling for Miss Burnice? She's still an attractive character and is going to add a cool gameplay element. Not to mention, she's going to go work really well with Caesar, who I have. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and if you like this sort of content, I will probably take a break from Mihoyo characters and check out other characters from other IPs. Oh, before I do that though, I am going to make a video on gamer subs. I do have a few things I want to get off my chest regarding the brand. Let me know in the comments if you take gamer subs, what your favorite flavor is, and what you like and dislike about them. Till next time, besties, take care.